to start our prep work for this top hat. First of all, I have 2 of these, so I'm going to cut one apart and sew around the other one. Now, I have previously dug these batting scraps out of my batting scrap stash, which is also, I mean, you wouldn't want to waste a piece of batting this big. You can use this for anything. It's really a handy thing to have. So I'm just going to lay this here. I don't want to waste as little as possible. Now, I have already made my turning slit, as I showed you before. So now all we have to do is build our sandwich. So you put down your batting, put down your top fabric right side up, then put down your backing fabric right side down, and then we put down our paper template that we haven't cut anything out of, making sure that the turning slit is here. Good, fine. And that's our sandwich. Now we pin that on there. We're just going to sew around this all the way. Now I'm going to sew about here, 1/4 inch outside of the stitching line. Now I can't do that. You can see I don't have the room to do that around here, so I will just go like this. And then start again down here. If you want really nice sharp corners, always leave your needle down, pick up your foot, turn it, and continue. Don't just try to go around there without turning it like that. Now we're coming here. Not want a hole in my seam. Alright, always cut off your loose threads. They just get in the way everywhere if you don't, and they're a pain. Now I'm going to take the inside off. If there isn't a place where you can pick up, just get your seam ripper and very gently go underneath the edge, and it will come right up. All right, now before I turn it, I'm going to take my corner turner. I'm a little bit concerned about this edge right here. I want to make sure that the seam will not, okay, nothing is coming through there, so that seam is good. Great. I'm going to cut it out, leaving just a little bit of an edge around the stitching line so that this fabric will not pull through the stitching line. If you cut it right on the stitching line, the fabric could pull through and you also risk cutting your stitches. So just give it a little bit of room. And as always, when you come to a point like this right here, very carefully use the tips of your scissors to snip into the point without cutting through the stitching line. This helps you turn it. So it's a nice sharp point when you turn your pot holder. Be very gentle. Okay, that's all cut. Now this is what I have left. So when I do something like this, I look at it. This is no good, I throw that away. This I could use for a small applique or something, so I'm just going to cut the tail off and keep that, put it back in my stash. Same here. That is a useful piece. And this is also a useful piece, of course. It's quite a large piece. So these 3 pieces will go back into my batting stash. Okay, so we're gonna just start up at one corner, start pushing our pot holder through the turning slit. And this is why we call it a turnover. Okay, be gentle. You do not want to rip the seam. That doesn't look much like a top hat, does it? I have more than once punched through a seam, and I can see right there that that wants to come through that I was concerned about. Oh, we'll fix that. Alright, that looks much more like a top hat. I always sew with double thread, it's much stronger, and then pull it through so your 2 ends are even. I wet my forefinger so the thread will stick. I roll it around like that, I roll my thread, and then I pull it, and you've got a knot. If I go up here, the knot will disappear under the edge and you won't ever see it. To whip stitch, you just under here on one side, come up on the other and pull it through, and just keep doing that until you've got your slit closed. Gently pull your thread tight every time you finish a stitch, but be gentle because thread will rip and that's a pain. Alright, when you're finished sewing, this is my sewing needle. You see I have a little tail here. If you're like me, you like to keep your sewing needles handy in your pin cushion, but they'll slide right down into there because there's nothing. Quilting pins have the nice little head on them so they don't slide through, but sewing needles will and you'll lose them. I've done that. So what I do is I leave a little tail. I make a knot at the end so it can't slide through. There, I've got a little knot on there. And when you put it in now, even if the needle, your sewing needle does go in, you'll have your thread. You can always find it by your little tail of thread and pull it back out.